when it comes to sexuality and stuff like that, we have to remember that when you engage not only in sex, but just close, you know what I'm saying? When you start just playing around and all that kind of stuff, you start a process of bonding. Okay. And when you bond with that person, there's all sorts of neurological things that scientists have found that start to come together. Well, guess what? If you bond with them and then you leave them, what happens? Then just like, fabric, it rips and it tears.
Mm.
And so when you get in a lot of these relationships, you have rips and tears, little ones and big ones. Okay. When my first wife left me, it completely, utterly devastated me. And one thing that you have to remember, if you have been through a divorce, you have been traumatized psychologically. You actually do need to have counseling. You are wounded. Your mind is not going to be right for a couple months, maybe even a year or two. Okay. So a lot of people, and I've seen some guys, and their wife leaves them or whatever, and they're just a little off kilter for a little while. I've also seen people who really fornicated and kind of got the triple digit, they're with 100 people or whatever. And usually there's some real mental damage. I mean, like some of these people I know, they're, the one guy I met, he was with 500 ladies at some point in his life, and he had to have a legal guardian. Okay. I mean, it's just like, it's not there because, we talk about love hurt and heartbreak and stuff like that, but you don't realize that some of the stuff is real and dangerous, and so we have to be careful. And so the first thing a guy needs to do is he needs to pick a woman who respects him, who loves him. And the both of you need to wait for marriage, because if they can't control their urges, waiting for marriage, then how are they going to, be in marriage, 10, 20 years down the road? And, there's all sorts of opportunity, and it's not really opportunity, but, in the mind of the fleshly man, there's all sorts of opportunity out there. Is there a guy that's going to whisk your woman away? Is there a girl that's going to whisk you away? You have to have this control. And that's why we have to seek the Lord. We have to have a born again relationship with Christ. And not just the fact that we got saved, but also we need to be filled with the Spirit. We need to be into spiritual things, church, the Bible, prayer, to control these things and keep life going. You have to maintain those disciplines. Sexual discipline, just like you need to, bathe, you need to, brush your teeth, you need to keep a healthy diet. This is part of health. And so part of sexual health is to keep that in the bonds of marriage, and also not to keep that as the highest of priorities. If you get the rest of your life, and I think women by nature are easier to understand this, but if you get the rest of your life together, then your sex life will be better. Okay. You control those things. And when all those things get together, first of all, the woman's going to love you. If you're a guy who's straight, who provides for her, protects her, sells her that vision with your priesthood, at that point, then she's ready for you. And unfortunately, we live in this convenient age where we say, hey, if it's pleasure, it's better. Do the pleasure first and worry about everything later. And that's just a foolish way.
Are we as Christians dating properly? Does that make any sense? A lot of times when I'm, several times I've dated a woman, it seems like the dating process, initially it's about attraction, pleasure, but after a while they're like, well, I'm trying to see if you meet my expectations and if you meet my needs. And she makes the decision, no, you don't, he does, or you just don't, period. I'm wondering, man, is that really the proper way to date? And not to give too much personal stuff out there, but I've gone through a couple of health scares, and it impacted me.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I went, I got through it, but it impacted me. And so I wasn't the same guy she started dating in the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a different guy. So expectations and, is different. In the beginning of the relationship, I was doing very badly financially, she stood by me. But as I got better financially, there was a slight change there. I don't think it was for the worse. I think it's for the better, because I started saying, well, yeah, let's do this. I got it covered. Or, yeah, let's do this. I don't need your money. I can do this. I can handle this on my own. So I guess that's a long way of saying, are we dating properly? Do we need to sort of be like, well, let's see if you meet my needs and expectations. If you do, we'll get married. And if you don't, we'll break up. Is that the right way? Is it the wrong way? I don't know. Go ahead and handle that, brother.
The current popular secular idea is just wrong. Okay, the current popular secular idea is run around, fornicate, figure it out along the way. And if you like living together, hey, live together, whatever. But that don't mean we're committed. Have kids. That don't mean we're committed. It's just terrible. Okay. I think that on one hand, I don't want to be a perfectionist. We all have different backgrounds, and God knows that. And so he can deal with sin. He can forgive us. He can change us. So, if you didn't have it perfectly raised or perfectly done or bred or whatever, don't worry about that. Okay. Just the simple rules I would say is, number one, if she's not a Christian, don't even think about it. All right. It's really not worth it. And even if she's the fantasy girl, okay, I've had my experience with fantasy girls too. All right. But even at the end of the day, they can wink and they can flirt and all that kind of stuff. But it's like that Meatloaf song. I need you. I want you, but I don't really love you. Okay. And that's just another breakup or another heartache and all that kind of stuff waiting to happen. So you find a girl who's a believer, and a respectable believer. And if you respect her, she's a respectable believer. Not if you're obsessed, but I mean, if you respect her. The second thing is that friends, okay, that's what you really need to know. You need to know, is this my friend? And, if everything falls apart, if our health goes away, if, all the sex stuff is gone, if all the money's gone, is she still my friend? Okay. You figure most of those things out through friendship. Okay. So that's the next thing. Then you also start to deal with family. Okay. Even if you don't like your family, all right, your family is a part of you and her family is a part of her. And so keeping the relationship kosher means being able to get along with the family. And I do believe even if she doesn't like her family, still try to be friends with the family. Okay. Because you are now engaging in a community, you're becoming part of a tribe. And so that means a whole lot, especially because we've got to think again, heritage. What about the kids? I have, like, to be honest with you, I have step grandkids. I have step children who are not children. They're full adults married and with their children. But at the same time, I need to be A, at peace with them, and B, try to get along and try to provide for them, and so I try, I'm not going to say I'm perfect or anything like that, but, that is something on my mind that I want to be there for them. I want to, step in, basically, because the genetic guy decided to leave long ago, but nevertheless, this is what you need. You need to be able to have those senses of bonding and stuff. And also, once again, the chastity. Okay. So if you get those four things together, then I think that you can establish that relationship. Sometimes it's tricky. I mean, sometimes there are people that go to church and you thought they were Christian or whatever, but generally that's why, do a lot of talking, really kind of get to know somebody, have those, instead of like saying, hey baby, let's, go all night, hey, let's go on the phone all night, let's just get to know each other and know our ways and all that kind of stuff. And really you have to be able to have a miracle happen. Okay. Especially if you're a young man, because this mostly happens with young men. Sex is going to be on the brain, you got to have a miracle happen. You got to clear up your mind and really think these things out. But one thing you also brought up is the fact that marriage is not just about the, paradise island. Okay. Marriage is about, when you grow old and you need to survive. And I know that's an issue. There's a lot of people out there that thought, hey, and there's probably more women than men. They thought, hey, I'm okay. I'll get by. I'm good on my own. I've seen a lot of women so wounded and damaged and broken in their lives because they didn't have that long-term relationship. They don't have a man around. And then all of a sudden, what happens when cancer comes? What happens when all these things hit? And he thought, oh, no, I'm a working woman and I'll go work at the warehouse. And all of a sudden their fingers break and the ribs break and then everything falls apart. Yeah. And I've seen this happen. And that's the thing, God's plan for us is kind of the best way. It's not the only thing. Don't freak out if you say, I didn't make it or I didn't do this, but it is simply, if you can, and if you have that opportunity in life, then yeah, go for it.
Great. Brother, I'm going to have to stop us there. We've run over time a little bit, but hey, I mean, we got to get the wisdom. If that's how long it takes to get the wisdom, that's how long it takes. So, I'm good with it. And like I say, whenever I'm sort of struggling with, issues that are not quote unquote political or cultural, I always like to go to someone who can address the issue from a biblical standpoint. And
I'm very honored.
And I just want to encourage all believers, all my listeners who are believers, take that to heart. And again, this is Book Talk with Corbin. I'm your host. Go to my website, booktalkwithcorbin.com, and my YouTube channel. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Hit that like, folks. It helps. I'm trying to monetize these channels so I can keep doing that, so I can keep doing what I need to do to reach out to brothers like Brother Matt. Brother, thank you so much. I will be in touch.